Yeah, good morning.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. Om Sahana-Vavatu Sahana-Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Bhavedvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Harihi Om.
So we are on verse number 55 of the 18th chapter, which we will chant. Bhaktya mami janati
Bhaktya
Bhaktya
mamabhijanati
mamabhijanati
yavan yaschasmi tattvataha
yavanyashchasmi
yavanyashchasmi
tattvataha
tattvatah
tato mam tattvato jnatva
tato
tato
mam
mam
tato
tattvato
jnatva
jnatva
vishate tadanantaram.
vishate
vishate
tadanantaram.
tadanantaram.
So we had completed this verse, and the net teaching of the verse we saw is that once you have jnanam, that itself is moksha. There is no separate phalam called moksha. Jnanam itself is moksha because jnanam tells you what? That you are Paramatma, that you are. Jivatma is only incidental status. Your real status is Paramatma. Now, here Shankara enters into a enquiry. Again, it's a very nice enquiry, so I am picking up that. And it is based on the first word of the 55th sloka, which is Bhaktya. Right. And if you remember earlier, Shankara said that Bhaktya means Jnana Nishtha. So the understanding of Bhakti as Jnana Nishtha, assimilated knowledge, is important to understand this particular discussion. Okay. Now what happens is a Purva Pakshi comes. So he says, Nanu viruddham idam muktam jnanasya ya paranishta tya taya mam abhijanati. Is it not contradictory to say that you will know me through jnananishtha, assimilation, right? Because what is assimilation? What is jnananishtha? Jnananishtha is repeatedly contemplating upon the jnana, right? You must see the difference between jnanam and jnananishtha. What is jnanam? It is the knowledge that aham brahmasmi. When do you get this jnanam?
Shravanam.
Shravanam only, right? And that jnanam is converted into doubtless jnanam through manana. So here the word bhaktya mam abhijanati, that's the context. And bhakti here was defined as jnananishtha. So Purvapakshi catches on to that. And he's saying, how are you saying that bhakti is jnananishtha? Because if you are saying that you know me through jnananishtha, that is not correct. Because jnanam is supposed to give you that information that I am Brahman. Knowing me is got through jnanam. Why should you contemplate again and again to know that you are jnana? How can you say that knowledge of Ishvara as yourself is obtained through repeated contemplation? What is the difference between jnanam, which is obtained through Shravanam, and jnanam, which is obtained through Nididhyasa? So, because both are generated by Pramanam only, so there should be, why is there a difference at all? And Purvapakshi explains what is the problem according to him. Okay, it's a very important idea. See, with whenever the knowledge of any object arises in a person, when during Shravanam and Maranam. So during Shravanam, he knows the object at that very time. So he says, Jnana Kale Eva. You should know that object. Right? If you look at a rose through your eyes, that is your sense organ showing you that. That time itself, you know what the rose is. You don't need to look at the rose again and again. Similarly, when you know the nature of some object at the time of Shravanam, that is the time of Jnanam. Where is the question of Jnananishta? The knowledge is complete during Shravanam itself. And how does it depend on repeated contemplation of that knowledge, which is Jnananishta or which is Nididhyasana? And therefore he says, when you say Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, and you say Bhakti means Jnananishta, you are saying that you will know Ishvara only through repeated contemplation. How is that possible at all? Right? So, for example, to take a mathematical example, if you have not understood that E is equal to mc squared during Shravanam, will you understand it better by coming home and saying E is equal to mc squared, E is equal to mc squared, E is equal to mc squared? Your understanding takes place when the teacher explains to you what is E, what is M, and what is C, and the equation, right? And if at that time you have not understood, then by meditating upon that equation at home, there is no understanding going to come. Is it not? This is the argument of the Purvapakshi. So he says, Nididhyasanam is a waste of time. Don't talk about Jnananishta at all. This is the objection. And Shankara replies. He says that, see, what are these discussions for? Because these doubts will never come to us. We don't think deeply enough. But Shankara anticipates all these doubts, and therefore, in his Bhashyam, he takes care of all this. So, Shankara says that, yes, Shravanam gives Atmajnanam, right? In Shravanam, when you say, I get Atmajnanam, what is the word of the teacher, Tattvamasi? Effectively, whatever Mahavakyam you use, effectively, Shravanam is telling you in one word, Tattvamasi, you are that. You are that Brahman. That is the one message which is conveyed by any Shravana, any Vedantic Shravana. Right. Now, to understand this Tattvamasi, what do? You use Bhagat Tyaga Lakshana. You discard the literal meaning, Vachyartham of Tvam, and you take the Lakshyartham of Tvam. Is it not? Is that not what happens during understanding Tattvamasi? What do? You discard the three bodies, which is the Vachyartham of Tvam. Vachyartham means what? Jivatma, consciousness with three bodies. So that three bodies you discard, which is called discarding the Vachyartham. What is the Lakshyartham of Tvam? Lakshyartham is consciousness principle only. That you take. So that is the understanding during Shravana. Right. Now, what is the role of Nididhyasanam in that case? Because if you have understood by discarding Tvam Pada, Vachyartham, and taking the Lakshyartham of Tvam Pada, you have understood the Mahavakyam. What is the Mahavakyam understanding? Aham Brahma Asmi. I am the consciousness principle. That is the understanding of the Mahavakyam. So teacher says Tattvamasi. I understand as Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Brahma Asmi. That is the understanding. And to arrive at that understanding, to use the Bhagatyaga Lakshana, you drop the literal meaning to take the implied meaning. You drop the Vachyartham and take the Lakshyartham, and therefore you arrive at the understanding Aham Brahma Asmi. This is what happens in Shravana. Correct. Then what is the use of Nididhyasana? Shankara says, because of the fact that there are vasanas ingrained in your subconscious mind. What vasanas? Ahankara, makara, raga, dvesha. So Krishna said earlier, ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham, etc., etc., right? These vasanas are embedded there in the subconscious mind. I'm just muting your. Okay. The vasanas are embedded in the subconscious mind, right? Doesn't go away very easily. And just because by Shravanam you have understood that Aham Brahmasmi after using that Bhagat Tyaga Lakshana process, that doesn't make these vasanas go away. They still exist in the mind, in the subconscious mind as vasana. What is the net effect whenever you say I? Normally, you use the word I in Tvam Pada Vachyartha. Even after knowing that the Vachyartha has to be discarded, you use the word I in the Tvam Pada Vachyartha. To be able to use the word I in Tvam Pada Lakshyartha, you have to be able to handle the vasanas. You have to be able to handle the subconscious mind. And this handling can only come through Nididhyasana. Right? So supposing you understood that Aham Brahma Asmi. I am Brahman. And tomorrow morning somebody insults you. When you say, why are you insulting me? That me, the I, is what? Lakshyartha or Vachyartha of Tvam?
Vachyartha.
Vachyartha.
Vachyartha. Even though the jnanam is there, that Aham Brahmasmi, you are using the word I in the Vachyartha, which is because of all the thousands of janmas of samskaras, ankara, mamakara, etc., in your subconscious mind. And therefore, in Nitidhyasanam, two jobs have to be done. I have to first do Bhagatyaga Lakshana. To do what? To drop that bhaga, to drop that part which contains the ahankara, mamakara, raga, dvesha, the vachyartha. The first job in Nididhyasanam, which I have to carry out, is to disown the anatma part. The body, family, possessions, professions, mind. These all belong to whom? To the reflected consciousness, to the Jivatma, not to Paramatma. And therefore, I have to discard them. Right? I have to disidentify with. That's the first job in Nidhyasana. And there is a name for this. This is called Jiva Bhava Durbali Karanam. Jiva Bhava is the individuality. Durbalam is weakening, weak. So Jiva Bhava Durbali Karanam means to weaken the individuality. This is mental sannyasa. When you drop or weaken or drop the individual part, which is your body, family, mind, possession, profession, all this, what remains? All that can be classified under Tvam Pada Vachyartha. So essentially, in the first part of Nididhyasana, first job in Nididhyasana, what I am doing is I am discarding the Vachyartha of Tvam Pada, Vachyartha of the word I. What is left behind is Lakshyartha of Aham, I. Tvam Pada Lakshyartha. And secondly, then, once having come to Tvam-pada Lakshyartha, then I can say that I am Nirguna Brahman or Saguna Brahman also. Right? This is called Brahma Bhava Prabalikarna. Prabali means strengthening. Brahma Bhava is the idea that I am Brahman, claiming that I am Brahman all the time. You can claim yourself as Brahman, as Tvam-pada Lakshyartha, only and only when you have weakened the Tvampada Vachyartha. Remember that thousands of janmas of conditioning have made me lean towards Vachyartha as my real I. That has to be dropped. This effortlessly claiming that I am Atma, without your mind laughing at you, is very important. When you say I am Atma, your mind should not be sitting in back and saying, oh, really, 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 you are Atma. Mind should also accept. Intellect should accept that you're Atma. That can be done only when you drop the Vachyartha part of I. This ability, this which comes through sustained Nididhyasana, to claim that I am Tvam Pada Lakshyartha Atma. This is called Aparoksha Jnana. And this, Shankara uses a very nice word. He says this is called the Atma Anubhava, experience of Atma. And this is the final destination in Jnana, the ability to claim that I am Brahman. And regular practice is necessary so that this becomes spontaneous. Right? There's no need to have an argument with yourself whether you are Brahman or not. That should have been sorted out in Manana. So, Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Spontaneously, you should be able to say, I am Brahman, at least to yourself, if not to your family, right? If you tell your family, there'll be a problem. Tell yourself, I am Brahman. So that knowledge becomes natural to you. Just as today, the knowledge that I am a human being is natural to me. At that point, the human being part, being the Vachyartham, is discarded. What remains is the Brahman part. So that knowledge that I am Brahman is as natural to me as today I am human. That natural knowledge in you is called Jnananishta. You should be able to effortlessly tell me that I am Brahman, tell yourself that you are Brahman, without any doubts. Right? And then what are the conditions? What is the environment required for such Jnananishta to happen? Shastra, Acharya, Upadeshe. Very important word which Shankara uses. The knowledge born out of Shastram, but conveyed through an Acharya, which basically means what? Shravanam only, not reading the book. And Shankara says further, not only must this Shravanam take place, that Shravanam should be supported by logic and by a pure intellect. So the knowledge has to take place in the presence of an environment which is supportive for jnanam as well as for jnananishta. And what are these factors which support? One is samsaya rahita buddhi, intellectual conviction. So you have done enough mananam and discarded all thoughts and resolved all thoughts, answered all your doubts. And then he says you should have mental purity. So he writes amanitva adi guna. Amanitvam is part of the chapter 13. Amanitvam, adambitvam, all those things. You should have all those values also. Humility, mental purity, daivi sampataha, right? All this should be there. Once that is there, that is the mental purity and the absence of doubts, then only you can claim yourself as Brahman. And therefore, the jnanam is dependent upon these conditions being present, which is why we continuously insist upon what? Upon the fact that Chitta Shuddhi is a must. Right? And what is the knowledge? The knowledge is that I am Brahman. The Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam is there. Okay. Right? This is very important. Now, in the next verse onwards, Krishna goes back to the topic of Karma Yoga. Now, remember that in this instead of karma yoga, he uses the word bhakti yoga. So one has to be very careful about the meanings of the word that he uses. Because everywhere the meanings change contextually. And that is why people who have not done Shravanam properly, they get confused because the dictionary will not tell you what the meaning is supposed to be. So we will chant the 56th sloka. Sarva karmanyaphi sada
सर्वकर्माण्यपि सदा
kurvano madvipashrayah
कुर्वाणो
कुर्वाणो
मध्यपाश्रयः
मध्यपाश्रयः
मत्प्रसादादवाप्नोति
मत्प्रसादादवाप्नोति
शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्
शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्
So sarva karmani kurvana api. Doing all karma. Whatever karma is necessary, doing it. How? Sada mad vyapashrayah. Always depending upon me. Avapnoti shashvatam avyayam padam. That person attains the shashvatam, eternal, avyayam, changeless, padam, destination. How? Mat prasadat. Because of my grace. Okay. So here remember that in the last, we are doing again and again summaries of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. The last few verses were summarizing Jnana Yoga. That is over. Now again, Karma Yoga starts. Another summary starts. And Shankara introduces this particular verse by saying that by performing your duty and recognizing that dharma is Ishvara himself, the karma yogi gains siddhi. Siddhi means, siddhi here is the eligibility for Jnananishta. How does that happen? Because of karma yoga, chitta shuddhi comes, antakarana shuddhi comes. And because of antakarana shuddhi, he comes to Shravanam, Maranam, and Nidhyasana. Right? Therefore, it's a very important point. Nididhyasanam is not always necessary. But yes, in the modern context, it's almost always necessary because Jnana Yogyata is not complete for 99.9% of the people. If a person has 100% Jnana Yogyata, then Jnanam alone is sufficient. So you read stories, right, of people who are told Mahavakyam only once and they get full knowledge. Such people, Jnana Yogyata has been completed in the previous jnana. But for most people, it is not. Right? So we must understand this. Nididhyasanam is necessary only for people for whom Jnana Yogyata is not complete. It's there, but not fully. And unfortunately, in today's world, that applies to almost everyone. So here again, Karma Yoga is being talked about. Another summary of Karma Yoga begins. And this is in the next 56th verse to 62nd verse. Karma Yoga. Previously, remember, Krishna emphasized duty. He emphasized Swadharma. Concentrate on your Swadharma and enjoy discharging that duty. Now he shifts to Bhakti. He says many people do Swadharma well, do their karma well, discharge all their responsibilities, but they do not have Ishvara Bhakti. And if you do not have Ishvara Bhakti, where is the question of Karma Yoga? The word Karma Yoga, when you use, you cannot leave Ishvara out of it. Right? Because what is the definition of Karma Yoga? Chapter 3.
Ishvara
Arpanam, right? Ishvara Arpanam, Ishvara Prasada Bhava. Ishvara is there in the very definition. So a lot of people talk about Karma Yoga as, service, selfless service. That's not a complete definition. You can be as selfless as you want. But if Ishvara is not there, it is not Karma Yoga. There is no such thing as secular Karma Yoga. What many people don't understand. Karma Yoga is very much linked to Ishvara. It has to be there. Ishvara has to be there at Saguna level, at Ekarupa level, at Anekarupa level. He has to be there. And therefore, Ishvara Bhakti should be Ishvara Arpana Bhavana and Ishvara Prasada Bhavana. The karma is Arpana Bhavana, offering to Ishvara. The fruit is Prasada Bhavana, receiving with the conviction, the devotion that the Lord has given me this, and therefore I am required to undergo this particular phala. So here, in these few verses, Karma Yoga is talked about emphasizing surrender and grace. Sharanagati, surrender, anugraha, Ishvara grace is being emphasized. We must remember here that we should not get confused because so many times we have been talking about Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. We should know this is Karma Yoga section, and therefore the Karma Yogi does not have Brahma Jnana. Because if he had Brahma Jnana, he would not be a Karma Yogi. So as a Karma Yogi, he is very much in the triangular format. He has got Dvaita Bhakti. Dvaita Bhakti means what? I am Karma Yogi, I am a Jiva in this world. The world is troubling me, and therefore I surrender to the Lord and seek the grace of the Lord to save me from my problems. Triangular format. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Karma Yogi. Okay. With this background, let's look. Mad Vipashraya. Surrendering to me. Sharanam, refuge. Taking refuge in me. And who is this me? I am Ishvara. And Shankara writes here, Aham Vasudeva Ishvara. I am Vasudeva Ishvara. He should take refuge in me. And what does he do? He surrenders himself totally to me. So this you have to connect to third chapter. Ishvara Arpana Bhavana. The Karma Yogi has to tell himself that the world has no sense of security, has no source of security. All security lies with Ishvara alone. So whenever there are bad times, rely upon Ishvara and Ishvara will take care of you. How do you do that? Invoke Ishtadevata in your heart. Right? So, when you do your morning puja, you first invoke the Ishtadevata onto the, deity, whether it is Shivalingam or whatever deity or the puja sthalam deity. You're putting a picture over there, whatever it is. You're invoking Ishvara. When you invoke Ishvara, what are you actually doing? You are saying, please come and reside over here. So if you have a Shivalingam in front of you, the invocation, you are actually asking the Lord to come and occupy that place. That is the invocation. Right. And after the puja is over, you are supposed to say, Yathasthanam Pratisthapyami. Please go back. I am sending you back to your own place. Yathasthanam, I am sending you back. But while the Karma Yogi, who is not a Vedantin, when he says that, he is saying that, oh Lord, please go back to Kailasha. If it is Shiva, if it is Shivalingam that you are invoking, you are saying, oh Lord, I have done the puja, I have finished my ritual. Now you please go back to Kailash. But as a Vedantin, when you say Yathasthanam Pratisthapayami, please go back to your place. Remember, the Vedantin, that place is not Kailasha. What is that place?
Myself.
Nihitam Guhayam.
Hmm.
It is your own
Goloka.
heart.
Goloka.
It is your own heart. Okay. Because in the space of your heart, Ishvara resides. Where did you see that in the 10th chapter? Krishna very clearly said that in the 10th chapter. Yeah. Okay. So he is in the heart. So for the sake of puja, you bring him to the puja sthalam, to the place. You wash him, dress him, offer flowers. After the puja is over, you send back Ishvara to your own heart. And therefore, that Mad Vipashraya means Lord is in my heart all the time. And for a Vedantin, you have to take a slightly more refined meaning. Taking refuge in Ishvara means taking refuge in Ishvara's teaching, means surrendering to Shastra. So, Ishvara Vipashraya is Shastra Vipashraya. Taking surrendering to Bhagavan's teaching. And the Bhagavan's teaching can be in the Gita form, or it can be in Veda form, Upanishad form. And therefore he says, Sarva karmani kurvana api. Perform all the actions that you are normally doing. Right? But remember that Sarva karmani doesn't mean forbidden actions. Though in his Bhashyam, if you see the Bhashyam, Shankaracharya takes the word Sarva karmani to include those which are forbidden also. But commentators say that this is only for glorification. You are not supposed to do forbidden karma. It is that by mistake or we are driven to do forbidden karma, that also should be avoided. It's only for glorification purposes. So essentially, sarva karmani should mean all your laukika karma, worldly actions, and vaidika karma you should do. But offer all of them as naivedyam, as an offering to the Lord. So at the time of puja, you offer flowers, you offer milk. But remember that after puja is over, the offering is not over. Every action of yours is an offering. Right? Is an offering. Okay. Now remember also that the sarva karmani normally taken as vihita karmani, that is mandated karma. And some interpreters will take it in, including Shankaracharya. He said Nishiddha Karmani is included. When you say Nishiddha Karmani, there are two ways of looking at it. Prohibited Karmani, Krishna is not saying you do, but the interpretation can be that it is time related. You know, what is right today may have been wrong in the past because circumstances change. When environment changes, things change. Right? For example, when somebody attacks you, it's a time change, right? Earlier, nobody attacked. So, Hinsa was not considered as a accepted form of action. But when somebody attacks you, violence in self-defense is permitted. So, time related. At a time when there is no attack on you, you are prohibited from being violent. But when there is an attack on you, violence is a response to that attack, and that is permitted. That's one meaning which I can take it. That they are relative wrongs and rights. What is right yesterday may be wrong today. What is wrong today may be right tomorrow. That's one meaning which I have taken. And second meaning, of course, is that, which I told you already, himsa done uh, without conscious intent, like stepping on an insect. You know. So if you have done all this, you are offering it to the Lord. What Krishna is saying that in such a case, even though literally it's a papam, the karma yogi will not incur a papam. And again, I will repeat, karma yogi means Ishvara is karma phaladata. He is an integral part of the karma yogi's life. Therefore, also, you remember the words yoga karmasu kaushalam. The skill in yoga means the karma has to be appropriate. Otherwise, Even a skilled murderer will say, I'm a karma yogi. I got skill in my karma. Karma has to be appropriate along these lines, with all these meanings included. And therefore, karma yogi will have a vision of Ishvara, which has two parts. In one, Ishvara is karma phaladata, karma teksha. He is the giver of fruits, right? In the other, he is karma phala adhyaksha. So in the first one, the giver of fruits is karma phala data. The second one is karma phala adhyaksha, one who presides over all karma phala. Means he decides what to give. He's not actually giving. So there is Dharma Raja, the Lord of Dharma, presiding over Dharma. And the other portion is where he's actually giving the phala. So there are two portions. One is he is the president of the dharmic aspect of life. He presides over that. And depending upon what you do, the second aspect is he gives you the particular phala. And therefore, the Karma Yogi needs to convert all actions to Karma Yoga. And he has Bhagavan to support. He will always say, I have Ishvara as my support. What is the difference between this view of the Karma Yogi and the Jnani's view? Jnani, of course, does not say, I have Ishvara as my support. Jnani says, I am Ishvara. Okay, so let's drop that part because we're talking about the Karma Yogi. What will happen if he adopts this, twofold approach that I give my actions to Ishvara as offerings and I take all the phalam as Ishvara's grace? Then he says, he mat prasadat, by my grace, avapnoti padam. He will certainly get chitta shuddhi. And once you get chitta shuddhi, you will come to jnanam and moksha. Sashvatam padam avyayam. He will come to that final state. Padam here means moksha padam. Shashvatam avyayam means eternal, undecaying. Therefore, the sequence of understanding has to be proper. By following this karma yoga, I will get chitta shuddhi. After getting chitta shuddhi, I will come to Guru. After coming to Guru, I will get Shravanam. I will do Mananam. I will do Nididhyasanam. And I will get moksha. So the entire sequence has to be understood. And therefore, Shankara says, since this is so, you should continue karma yoga until when? Until chitta shuddhi is obtained. Okay, now let us look at the 57th verse. चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि
चेतसा
चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि
मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः
मयि सन्न्यस्य
मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः
बुद्धियोगमुपाश्रित्य
बुद्धियोगमुपाश्रित्य
चित्तसततं भवः
मच्चित्तः सततं भव.
So mat paraha. Paraha is supreme goal. Mat is me. Mat paraha, keeping me as the final destination. Sanyasya chetasa. Dedicate all your actions to me. Buddhi yogam upasritya. So buddhi yogam here means karma yoga. By taking to karma yoga, and what should you become? Satatam macchitta bhavaha. Keep your mind fixed in me all the time. So karma yoga is called buddhi yoga here because it involves two important attitudes. So buddhi here is bhavana. So two bhavanas are important. We all know Ishvara Arpana Bhavana and Ishvara Prasada Bhavana. So every action, when I am offering to Ishvara, remember that the attitude is that I am doing this because it has to be done. And because I cannot hate anything which I offer to Ishvara, I neither dislike nor like any of the actions. My attitude is I'm doing because I have to, right? Secondly, every phalam, every experience that I get is coming from Ishvara. And therefore, I have to stop judging experiences on the basis of Ragadvesha. Remember, whenever I say I like this experience and I don't like the experience, that judgment is based on Ragadvesha. And therefore, since the phalam is coming from Ishvara, the understanding is that Ishvara wants me to get this phalam. Therefore, I should stop judgment on Ragadvesha. So, agate swagatam kurya. Whatever comes, swagatam. I will welcome it. Accept the choiceless. It is choiceless to accept. But remember that unfortunately, enough in our lives, 75% of the things are choiceless. Why do I say that? Past is choiceless. It has already happened. You have no choice. Present has already come. It is choiceless. Some part of the future which may depend upon very strong prarabdha, may also be choiceless. But some small part of the future can be changed because of the use of svecha, free will. And in that small respect only, you have choice. And therefore, in your life, 75 to 80% of what is happening is choiceless. Some small part of the future is driven by your free will, and that you should do, right? So, Chetasa here means with a Viveka Buddhi, discriminative mind, a mind that has got Nitya, Anitya discrimination. When some situation is presented before me and a certain karma is required, certain action is required, this has to be done. So that word, the sentence, when a situation presents itself, means what? I am facing a particular situation calling for a particular series of actions. What should be my understanding? That this is an action which I am required to do by Ishvara. I should carefully note a difference here. Whenever the situation is choiceless, which means that when the use of my willpower can change nothing, then I have to understand that this choiceless situation is actually Ishvara manifesting before me in the form of the law of karma. Right? We have faced many situations which are unpleasant, but all the actions which you can do, all the money which you have, all the power which you have, cannot change the situation. That is Ishvara manifesting as the law of karma. Right? And in that particular situation, some action is needed which will not change the outcome. That action is also to be taken as Ishvara's instructions. Okay. And this kind of acceptance is Buddhi Yoga. The firm resolve that, yes, this is all because of Ishvara. And let me handle it without resentment, without regret. Therefore, Sarva Karmani Mai Sanyasya. And here, of course, the word Sanyasya means renouncing, but dedicating. Renouncing means giving it to. So, dedicating. Dedicating all the actions to me, Ishvara. And he has already said how to. Krishna already told us how to. Where Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi, 9th chapter. Offer everything to me. And therefore, Shankaraya adds, Sarva Karmani means Drishta, Adrishta Karmani. All karma, irrespective of whether it is going to give Drishta Phalam or Adrishta Phalam, have to be dedicated to Ishvara. Now, all activities, all karma have two types of phalam, right? Drishta, adrishta. For example, when you give danam, charity, what is the drishta phalam?
The other people is happy. The other side person is happy, and I'm also happy.
Yes, the two aspects of that. One is you are doing good to a person, and secondly, you feel good that I am giving danam. This is drishta phalam. Why drishta? Because you know that you are feeling good. You know other person is feeling happy. What is the adrishta phalam?
Punya.
Punyam.
Is punya, right? So you take any nitya karma, sandhya vandanam, parayanam of Bhagavad Gita, parayanam of Veda. The drishta phalam is immediate. It is the satisfaction, or rather the quieting of the mind, the immediate peace that happens in the mind. That is drishta phalam. The drishta phalam is, of course, in the form of punya. And Krishna here is saying both of them is surrender to me. The quietude of your mind, the peace in your mind also is surrender to me. And the punyam also is surrender to me. And what is the attitude? Mat paraha. Keeping me as the ultimate goal. Accepting me as the highest, as Ishvara himself. Surrender completely. So Karma Yogi has to, as a Karma Yogi, you cannot lose sight of Ishvara at any point of time. That is why constant japa is necessary for a Karma Yogi. So that Ishvara is there even at the subconscious level. So you start the day with Ishvara. Keep Ishvara in your mind throughout the day and close the day remembering Ishvara. So if you ever go to any ashrams, Shivananda ashram for example, you will find that they start with bhajans. Days end with bhajans. Yes. All these are very, very important. And during the day also, any amount of classes are there which talk about Ishvara. Therefore, start the day with Ishvara, keep Ishvara throughout the day, end the day with Ishvara. This is very important for a karma yoga. And Shankara adds, Ananya Saranatvam, without any other support. Ishvara alone is my support. No other person can be my support. This is the Karma Yogi in the triangular format. Remember that when you graduate to binary format, support is not necessary because from the supported, you become the supporter. Right? But we are talking about Karma Yogi. So, Machittaha here means the mind is fixed only upon me, only upon Ishvara as the goal of life. Okay, that question can come. Supposing I am studying, how can I think of Ishvara and yet do my studies? What is the answer?
By dedicating this work to Ishvara, that I am doing this for Ishvara.
Well, a better answer is that if you understand that everything is Ishvara alone, the study itself is not different from Ishvara.
Yeah,
So
that Brahmarpan.
when that understanding is there, then whether you do something or don't do anything, you will never miss Ishvara. That is why he says Satatam, always. In each and every experience, Ishvara is involved as the Karma Phaladata, and all the time. When Ishvara is Karma Phaladata, you have Ishvara all the time in front of you. Because either you are a Karta dedicating your actions to Ishvara, or you are a Bhokta accepting the phalam from Ishvara. And therefore, your mind is always focused on Ishvara. Then what happens? Then we go to the next verse, 58. Machitta sarvadurgani
Sanchita sarvadurgani
Sarvadurgani
nat prasadat tarishyasi
मत्प्रसादात् तरिष्यसि
अथ चेत्त्वमहङ्कारान्
अथ चेत्त्वमहङ्कारान्
श्रोष्यसि विनश्यसि.
न श्रोष्यसि विनम्स्यसि
So Macchittaha, with your mind fixed upon me, Ishvara. Sarva Durgani, all obstacles, Tarishyasi, you will cross over. Mat Prasadat, by my grace. So he says, if you fix your mind upon me and do all your actions, there will be no obstacles to you because of my grace. Atha chet, but if ahankarat tvam na shrosyasi. So just remember that chet tvam ahankaran, the two nas are there. So there has to be broken as ahankarat and na shrosyasi. So when you read that fully, atha chet tvam ahankarat na shrosyasi vinakshasi. Right? That's what he's saying now. Atha chet, but if ahankarat, out of your ahankara, out of your ego, tvam na shrosyasi, you do not listen to me, vinakshasi, you will destroy yourself. So machittaha, keeping me in your mind. So Shankara says machittaha means when you keep me in your mind, you will get confidence. And if you get confidence, then you will cross over what? All the difficult obstacles. And Shankara writes here, what are those obstacles? He says, Sarva Durgani is Sarvani Dustarani. Very, very difficult obstacles, which are things which are the cause of samsara. Samsara hetu jatani. All those causes of samsara, like papa, punya, which are the cause of birth and suffering. The word Durga here means difficult to cross. So just remember, it is not Durga, it is Durga. Durga is Strilinga, Akaranta Strilinga, meaning goddess. Durga means obstacle. So the pronunciation is important. Not Sarva Durgani, Sarva Durga, Sarva Durga Ani. That is Ani is the etc. part of it. So, okay. Therefore, Durgam, better to think of it as Durgam, obstacles. Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika. Durgam is obstacle. Durgani means multiple obstacles. Why multiple? Because there are a plural number. Adidaivika, Adibhautika, Adhyatmika. So every obstacle to moksha, remember, is also the hetu, the cause of samsara. For example, fear and worry. They are obstacle to moksha, right? But they are also the cause of samsara. And therefore, mat prasadat, with my blessings. And these blessings of Ishvara are given, but on the basis of your own effort. Your own effort means your Panchamaha Yajna has to be continued, your Nitya Naimitya Karma has to be continued. So Ishvara doesn't give any free handouts. If you want his blessings, you have to earn it. So Atha Chet, if Tvam, you don't listen to me, then you will perish. Right? What is it saying? Listen to me means what? Do karma yoga now. And what is the reason for not listening to me? Out of ahankara. And Shankara says ahankara means aham panditaha iti. Thinking that I am a wise man. So I am a wise man, therefore I don't need to listen to Krishna's words. If you have that attitude, tataha tvam vinakshasi, you will go to destruction. Not physical death, but no spiritual progress at all. So spiritual death. And tataha means as a result of not understanding my teaching. If you refuse to follow my advice because of ahankara, because of thinking that I'm a very wise person, then the benefit of having been born as a human being He's lost you in this birth. Why? Because the main reason, the purpose of being born as a human is to strive for moksha. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are not ready for sannyasa, right? You are ready only for karma. And if you give up that karma, you will not be a karma yogi. And since you are not ready for sannyasa, you will neither be a sannyasi. Therefore, you will never be able to get moksha. So, one thing, Krishna is repeating this just to ensure that Arjuna has understood. And this is a very important idea because a lot of people keep on saying that, Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight. Krishna is not. Krishna is asking Arjuna to know what is his own nature and not to act in contrary to that nature. Because if you act contrary to your own nature, your actions will not be successful. And therefore, since Arjuna is not ready for sannyasa and he's got a lot of ragadvesha as yet, he has to do karma yoga, which in this case is battle. Remember, there is no mandate to do anything. It's all advice. He's saying, Arjuna, if you do this, this. If you do this, then this. He is not saying you should do this. Why does he say that? Shankara says, he is not saying, you cannot take the interpretation that Krishna is telling Arjuna to do anything. There is no command at all. Why? Because later on he says, you will see, yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. He says that I have taught you everything that I have to teach you. I have said everything that I have said. Now you have to take a decision and do what you think is right. Right? In the introduction to the next sloka, Shankara writes, therefore, you should not think that aham sutantraha. I am independent. You should not think. Right? And you should not think that why should I do what Krishna is saying? That also you should not think. Because if you choose not to fight, it is not a choice based on an understanding of your nature, which means there is no discrimination which you have done. It is a choice based on your delusion that I don't want to fight and it is not good to fight. Because it is your very nature to fight. You are a Kshatriya. And that Kshatriya Swabhava is to fight. And if you are using your free will to fight your Swabhava, you will never win. You can never beat your Swabhava. So with this, we will stop for today. Any questions?
Yes. Acharya, I'm still stuck on 55, where we talked about Jnana Nishtha and Nididhyasanam.
Yep.
And so basically, we have to overcome vasanas and samskaras. That's what Nididhyasanam does. And my question is probably more basic as to, is there a distinction between vasana and samskara?
No,
And if
they
you
are
can
words.
explain
They are
that.
words which are used interchangeably. There is, for example, both are karma phalam, right? Vasana and samskara are used interchangeably. Now there is in all karma phalam of previous life, let us say, you have done karma in the previous life, and there is phalam. That phalam can be divided into two. One is your prarabdha, which you will experience as either pain or pleasure. The other is the samskara or the vasana, which is what will influence your actions. So karma phalam itself has two aspects. One is which you experience. One is which influences your action as a karma. That is called vasana or samskara.
Thank you.
Acharyaji, then I
Is-
have another question. Oh,
Yes,
please go
Bhavna.
ahead.
Is it same as Ragadvesha then? The samskara can be bifurcated into Ragadvesha?
No, ragadvesha is the result of the samskaras.
Okay.
Okay, Acharya. So in the end, you said that if you use your free will to uh, eradicate or whatever the nature, basic nature it is, then you will never be able to beat it. So then question is, suppose someone's nature is lazy, or she's lazy, or some other things, basic things, and then using that discriminative power that this is not good, I should wake up early morning, or I should do this. So like
So when you do karma yoga, basically the purpose of karma yoga and upasana yoga is to change the very basic nature. If
Yes.
sadhana cannot change your nature, that sadhana is of no use. Right? That doesn't apply here because here you're talking about running away from the battle. That is not doing sadhana, no?
okay, 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 okay. Sorry. Thank
So
you.
that way. So with this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamata
Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnat
Purnat
Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah
Om
Shivaya. Thank you
Om
for
Namah
patience.
Shivaya. Thank you,
Om
sir.
Om.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Acharya.
Acharya.